Rey Madolora, thank you for joining us. You're the CFO of El Contador Consulting. You've been a CFO of a lot of different companies, but today's topic for Beer with the CFO is tips for driving digital transformation in the finance function. Ray's been with Techstars. He's a mentor in Austin, Texas, and he's been CFO for companies like Dropoff that were backed by Austin Ventures and Next Coast as well. Rey, we sent you Austin Beer Works, so cheers to you over there with your Austin Beer Works.
Cheers.
And like I said, they sent me Robo Boogie out of Colorado, and like I said, that's a great one for you, Rey, because you are always boogieing around town on your mountain bike and always letting us follow along on your adventures as you go through Austin and other countries as well. It's always fun to see the places that you're visiting.
Thank you.
And so, digital being the topic today, digital transformation, it's kind of fun because for you, digital is part of you've got a work-life balance, and that digital is part of your work life, your professional life, and your personal life, being that you're an incredible photographer. I've seen a lot of pictures of you and your girlfriend in different countries, and it's always exciting to see what you're filming. So very inspiring, and we love to see that part of your digital world as well.
Thank you.
So the question for you today is, tell us how driving digital transformation on the finance function has impacted the companies that you have worked with.
Good question. And I'd say this digital transformation theme it's like Moore's Law. It's gaining momentum. I'd say it started, more than a decade ago. And with that, you saw the CFO role become a lot more operational. And so I think, a lot of the people that you talk to today, they would be considered operational CFOs. And that is the result of this digital transformation. And what happened about a decade ago is, instead of our finance and accounting teams just struggling to get their books closed and then reporting packages out there, a lot of that started to get automated. The GL systems moved to the cloud. Almost we don't have server racks in a closet anymore running the general ledger system, and things like Intact and NetSuite, took us 100% cloud-based. And then around those cloud-based systems came an ecosystem of other applications that can be used for BI or dashboarding or reporting, etc. And then the APIs got more rich. And so instead of these disparate systems, all of a sudden you have this Salesforce ecosystem that's also in the cloud. And now you want your various systems to ping each other and talk to each other via API integration. And so all of that today for venture-backed early stage startups, in my opinion, is really table stakes and kind of par for the course today. And if you want to be successful in the C-suite or in the CFO, COO role, you have to embrace that digital transformation. You've either gotten on that wave and you're a part of it, or you're going to be left behind. And so I think, one, it's important that we all kind of read the latest news and listen to podcasts and read tech blogs and stay on top of the trends of what's happening. So that's very important. And then most companies today would consider themselves modern companies, meaning they've launched with cloud-based applications across the organization. Most startups are centered around that G Suite or that Google Drive kind of ecosystem for Gmail, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think that trend in general has made the digitization of the finance function easier, because it's already happening in the various functions of the company. And it's happening in HR tech. It's happening in the tools that the operations teams use. It's happening in the tools that the sales and marketing teams use. I think what we try to drive, or what I try to drive for my teams, is we want to build a scalable back office across all those back office functions. And I would lump all of your accounting, FP&A, finance in the early stage. I would put sales operations or RevOps in that bucket. HR and legal into that function. And so the various systems that are being used, trying to tie all that together in a cost-effective way to make it scalable over time. And the word transformation kind of implies change. And so most organizations just have to be used to embrace a culture of constant change, right? Your go-to-market's going to be tweaked over time. The way you do things are going to change over time. And then many companies going into 2022 have had to adapt to the current economic conditions. And so all of that is, I would say I would take that back to change management and just that getting other people in the organization enrolled in that transformation is really just good communication, change management. If it comes to it, there could be some, buy-in and Jedi mind tricking just to make people think that they really want to do it. And with anything like that across the organization, if it's a multi-function integration, you absolutely have to get the buy-in from the C-suite, ops, sales, and product, because you don't want to do something in finance that impacts those other groups adversely, or they feel like they weren't looped in. And so I think you effectively do that by giving them a seat at the table, making them feel heard when you are making changes that could affect the business, but ultimately try to drive home that it's in the vein of making the business more scalable and cost effective over time. And the fact of the matter is most early stage companies need to spend the vast majority of their money on growth and not the back office. So that was a really long-winded spiel.
The cost of that back office should be shrinking as the company grows in revenue, certainly.
It absolutely should be, correct.
So, and you've been through different, technology implementations. It's amazing, to look at some of those graphics of, every decade, how many more cloud software systems there are available to us in the different areas, not only finance, but like you said, human resources and marketing and so on, sales and so on. Are there any surprises to look out for when automating business processes through a move to a cloud solution? Or are there any surprises to look for that might help CFOs prevent them from getting snagged?
Well, I think one thing to be aware of, and I'm never surprised by this, but being a consultant and advisor, you get to meet a lot of founders and see the ins and outs of a lot of different startup companies. But you would be surprised that people still use paper. In some cases, they still like paper, and so I think that's something to keep in mind that. We often think, oh, we're in this paperless world, and so depending upon the culture of the organization, that could just be an initial obstacle that you have to overcome. And I just met a CFO earlier this week that had acquired a company that was more of a mom and pop, and she was really struggling with getting them off the habit of printing stuff, even if it was already a digital PDF. So that's something, and even when I joined Dropbox in 2018, I was shocked by how many paper-based processes they had in the back office across really every function. And so a seed that I like to plant, if it's really early stage, like a company going through Techstars or Capital Factory, just raising a seed round, is if you can embrace cloud and digitization early on, so you never go down the path of having to accumulate paper invoices and bills and kind of like we would manage our personal lives. Most of us like to be on auto pay and sign up for paperless statements, etc. It really comes down to making people feel. I'm of the my philosophy of running a finance organization is that everyone is a customer of finance and accounting. And I give this spiel in orientations over and over again when people join the company I'm a CFO of. And then my own team, I drive home that everyone's a customer. So obviously the customers of the company are our customers because we invoice them and and we ask them to pay us on time, et cetera. But the employees are customers because we also process payroll and answer people's questions about that. And so all the employees are customers, and every department is a customer because they rely on timely information from us to make decisions. And so that's the philosophy that I try to drive home across my organization and my team from day one. And that tends to make it easier when the rest of the company feels like you're treating them like a key stakeholder and customer. And so when you need to ask them to change something, like, okay, we're going to make this process paperless, or we're going to move you off of this system, and I know your whole team has to learn this new system and get trained on something new, but it's going to be worth it. If they felt like they were involved in the decision-making process, then it's gonna the implementation of that change or the move to a new system is gonna be a lot easier.
And the adoption should be, accelerated in particular with the pandemic and remote experience that we all were kind of forced into a couple of years ago. And so,
Right.
adoption of those digital processes should be welcomed, especially as more people, want to remain remote.
Another thing that has come up for me over, I would say, the past 5 years is that I try to not be overly reliant on the engineering development teams. So many times when you want to move to an API integration, say you want the general ledger to talk to the company's proprietary platform, or you need help integrating the CRM or a marketing automation tool. So all of that talks together. And then really in the FP&A and BI has become a very close function to the FP&A function. That often involves maybe a data warehouse or a data lake with some type of BI tool sitting on top of that. What I've found is if the back office can alleviate some of the requests on the development team and to manage that data and those integrations on their own. And so I have advocated having some programming skill levels within my immediate team so that we can do simple API calls, we can do simple scripting, we know how to manage data in a data lake and or BI tool like Tableau or Snowflake, without having to go to dev every time we need to ask. Because if the finance function has to go to dev and ask, that potentially pulls them off of their sprint or their product roadmap. And so it really can grease the wheels if you recruit someone onto the FP&A or BI team that is comfortable with some level of coding. I am not, but I found that many of the younger people coming into the workforce kind of learned how to program as a hobby, or they have that skill set, and it's really been a handy thing to have on my immediate team over the past 5 years.
So in talking about the current economic climate and kind of a uncertain future with what we're facing, the further digitization of the business is inevitable. It was inevitable 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, when you didn't want any on-premise software because nobody was going into the office, and so it really pushed that digitization and automation. Really propelled that forward quickly. But why may the digitization effort be even more important during inflationary times?
It certainly, I think, puts a spotlight on things when the economy is in a downturn, or there's a sense of things getting more expensive cost of living. And then really, I think the main concern, especially in the finance and accounting space, is this labor shortage. And we always had a hard time finding and recruiting top talent to build out our teams really across all levels, which kind of move certain things offshore, or move things remote, or uh, caused us to try to automate so you didn't have to throw a body at it. But even if we weren't in the economic uncertainty, you would still need to embrace this change, I think, to be a competitive company and to make sure that you're not spending money on back office resources when you really need to be spending that on engineering, R&D, product, and sales and marketing growth. But since there is a spotlight on it, I think that some companies, it will give them an edge. Some companies that are kind of on the forefront of it will not have to worry as much about the state of their FP&A and finance function and the quality of their financial reporting, because they trust it and they get it in a timely manner. And the reason of that is a lot of automated internal controls and reviews and reconciliations that are happening without manual involvement. And the goal is just to get scalable and to grow your revenue as much as possible, while those, I would say, your back office dollars as a percentage of revenue decline over time. And everyone's trying to gain that leverage.
And having a finance function that has the best digital resources available could actually help you attract the best talent as well. As there, the younger talent that is coming into the workforce, a digital world is their world. And so they want to work with the best tools and systems that are available.
For sure. And I think there is sometimes when you talk about automation, or you talk about AI and machine learning, and those tools or algorithms are starting to become more of a part of our everyday life. There's a tendency to think that they're going to replace manual labor, replace humans. And I think that for the foreseeable future, they will augment humans and make humans much more productive. And initially it'll be incremental percentages, but it'll be 2x, 10x more productive. And you can even see that in certain examples today across certain functions of the company, or even the accounting function. But what becomes important is that labor is just going to become more and more scarce. It's just obvious that that's a trend that's occurring. And so you have to automate where you can to be competitive and to keep the company, keep the infrastructure of the company sound and top notch. So I don't think there's a world where you don't have a human accountants. I really don't. I just think you can do a lot more with maybe a smaller team or smaller resources, and that's just going to become integral. It's not going to be an option. You're going to have to adopt those machine learning tools and implement them at your company so that you can just maintain and keep doing what you need to do to support the company with the team members you can find and recruit.
And having that automation actually helps your finance team, be more of the builders that you want them to be, and not the doers. Let the automation take care of the doing, and let your team be a part of building the future of the company. So, Ray, it was such a great conversation, and thank you for joining us and stopping by. I feel like I'm stopping by Beerworks in Austin. Such a great place to hang out, and it's great to see you and great to have you on Beer with the CFO. Any final comments?
Thank you so much for having me. No, it's been great. I look forward to continuing to partner with Consero and the team in the future. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thank you, Ray.
Thanks. Cheers.